Rod and Ashley, y'all ready to do a podcast?
We are.
All right.
All right.
Let's go.
Well, hey everybody, this is Kelly Bland right here in the Pawhuska Chamber of Commerce office talking to Rod and Ashley Hartness from right here in Pawhuska. Welcome to the Osaging It podcast, y'all.
How are you?
Good. Glad you could come in here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Well, like I was telling y'all a minute ago, y'all impressed me when I first met y'all when I moved up here because y'all are just like this iconic ranching family, neat family, lots of rodeo history in your family. I know we've got an event coming up we're going to talk about, but for everybody out there listening, tell them a little bit about Rod and Ashley and where you're at with the rodeo life and the arena, a little bit about your past, a little bit about your present, and then we'll get to talk about what's coming up.
Well, our rodeo life has slowed down quite a bit. We had a little boy, rope Benton Hartness. We call him Little Buddy. He's 5 years old now. So I mainly just try to go to some senior ropings and local ropings and a few off. I'll go to Cheyenne, Deadwood, make that little circuit like that. But I used to compete, quite a bit. And so I'm just kind of the daycare daddy, and Ashley takes care of her job with the casinos.
Yeah. So every time I look on Facebook and stuff, it seems like y'all are in Vegas at an event, at a roping or something, or at the NFR and things like that. What's that involved in your life? How much is rodeo a part of your life?
I would say rodeo is a lot of our life. I mean, we live it daily. Rod ropes every day. We have a little neighbor boy that comes over every day, and I see that Rod's attention has shifted to that. When we first got together, I mean, it was all night drives to get to the rodeo the next morning so that he could make the NFSR. But now it's more, since we do have rope, he is home more, which is nice. But he also helps the kids. And so I like to see that. So, it's just nice that we get to be home and help and be more active in the community, because when we are on the rodeo road, we were gone and we didn't get to participate and we missed a lot of things. So that has definitely changed, and that is really nice. But rodeo still is a huge part. We try to put on several each year here. And that helps, Pawhuska, and bring people here into town, but it also helps us do what we love and share our lifestyle with others.
Yeah, well, and I love your lifestyle as well. So Rod, how old were you when you competed in your first rodeo?
I did, Cody Garnett asked me the other day to do a broadcast on the Ben Johnson. We're so lucky to have the Ben Johnson Museum here. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've seen a lot of museums all across the United States, and this is I would say in the top two. Mm-hmm. I don't even know where I would put the top one, but it's that good. Mm-hmm. And so growing up, my dad was a pipeliner.
Okay. He
was a superintendent on big major pipeline jobs. So usually when school was out, we went on jobs. I was on the pipeline. I mean, I started working when I was 15 years old. And a lot of people look at that nowadays and they say, how did you start at 15 years old? Well, the deal of it was we didn't have internet. We didn't have computers.
Yeah. I remember those days.
You wrote your age down. So instead of born in 63, I wrote down I was born in 60. So I was working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day on the pipeline. And I really didn't start roping calves and stuff probably till I was maybe 11, 12 years old. And then they have had a club roping out here that Dwayne Ramey, Blackie Ricketts, some guys that you probably don't know, but you've heard of, Steve Thomas, Charlie Chambers, Phil Davis, a lot of guys like that Bill Holt, that formed their own steer roping club. We always had the Ben Johnson here, but you never had anything for the guys that wanted to rope steers. So they formed this association, the Osage Steer Roping Association, and I joined that like my senior year. And I think the first roping I went to, I won 2 rounds and ended up third in the average. And I thought,
oh my,
well, heck, this is easy. Probably what it was bait to get me along to take my money later on.
I was going to say, that's like a good day fishing. Once you have a good day, you think it's easy and it's hard to follow up.
Yes, ma'am. But I was real blessed and real lucky. I had my uncle, Orban Garrett, was one of the best horse trainers here in this country. And there was a guy named Bob Smith that, if you do the research on the Ben Johnson, he ran the Ben Johnson Arena for probably 50 plus years. Was an old steer roper, and he lived on the Adams Ranch, which was now the Sooner Land and Livestock Ranch. Well, they had a big arena over there, and we was really good friends, and he said, you come over and rope. And so I would probably rope 100 head a day, and I would probably trip 30 to 40 head a day, every day, because I was riding a lot of outside horses and all that. So I was just really blessed and really lucky with good people being around me. And so I started at a later age, but in the steer roping world at that time, when I bought my card, there was really only me and Sean Burchett and Bobby Harris, past world champions, that was in our 20s. Everybody else was in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, because steer roping used to be, when you're too old to rope calves, you rope steers.
Yeah.
So we was kind of known as these young hotheads, young hot guys, and we was very lucky to be able to rope good, and so it was just all a good blessing. And then I think where steer roping for me came from those guys that I told you about setting up this steer roping club.
Right.
But
so, like here in Pawhuska, I know that Pawhuska is known as the steer roping capital of the world. When did that title kind of get placed on Pawhuska?
In 1986. When I won the Ben Johnson, when I won the Cheyenne Frontier Days, Senator Dahl called me and said how proud he was that I brought back the championship from Cheyenne, because for so many years way back, if you won Cheyenne, you was the world champion, because they didn't have a lot of rodeos. So kind of like when Madison Square Garden was going on some years, if you won Madison Square Gardens, you was considered the world champion. So when I won Cheyenne, I don't know the record books, but I think I'm the only guy from Pawhuska to ever win the Cheyenne. Somebody like Cody would probably have to do the research. But Senator Dahl called me and said, we're gonna make this the steer roping capital of the world. And so they had a big get together at the fairgrounds, and they gave me a deal from the state recognizing me as bringing the steer roping capital of the world, and I still have it at my office. And so
wow. So it rests on your shoulders.
Well, I'm not saying it rested on my shoulders. I was just awful lucky that day. I everybody asked me, they say, well, where was you sitting at? And I said, I went in the finals sitting 7th. They used to bring back the top 15. But I had one of the best horses going. I mean, guys like Tuffy Thompson, Troy Fort, James Allen, Clem McSpadden. Everybody this is the best horse they've ever saw. He could fly. He was a racehorse bred that my uncle helped me with, Uncle Orban. And my first steer, I tied him down. Second steer, I was right in the pack. But back then, the third round, because you roped 3 steers, the third round was the third run on the steers. So a 30-foot score, they are running. Nowadays, that third score, they're all fresh. So they just walk out. But back then, they was running. And I remember calling him, and he said, don't worry. He said, you got the fastest horse there. You're going to dominate it. And I came back, and I was 14 on my last year. And that's a heck of a run. And so, one by one, guys kept going out. And the last guy to go was Roy Cooper. And I'm thinking, I won second at Cheyenne. I never even thought about winning first. I'm thinking, you got an 8-time world champion fixing a rope right here. I got second. Now that's better than I ever even, my second year to ever be here. I'm like, and Roy had a little tough luck on his last one. And then you was in shock. It's like they grab you, they say, hey, get over here, we're going to get your picture, you got to get your buckle, you got to, at that time I was 21 years old. And I'm thinking.
I was going to ask you, how old were you then?
Yeah, I was 21.
Well, this is Kelly Bland, and if you want to hear the rest of the story, you need to download and tune into the Osage in It podcast episode, talking about how Pawhuska was named the steer roping capital of the world. Thank you, Rod and Ashley, for joining me today. Y'all check us out online at visittheosage.com. Like I said, tune in to Osage in It for the rest of that story. We'll catch you next time.